Now that we have done breaking down the main page on the high-level components, we can go ahead and split all those components further on smaller components. For example, in the header, we can extract the logo into its own component. Also, this header has mobile navigation that can be extracted as well into individual components. And same goes with the main navigation that can be stored in its own component. So I will open up file with app header component, and let's start with extracting markup of the logo into its own component. I'm going to call this component app header logo. Please note that I have included the name of the parent component into this component name, and this way it becomes clear that this logo component is intended to be used only within the app header component. And another advantage that we are getting including the name of the parent component in the child component name is that both of these components will be grouped together in the file explorer, so that all related components will be right next to each other in the file explorer. The next component will be called app header now, that is the main navigation. Let's create the file for this component with the same name app header now and paste the markup of this component. And there is one more component that I'm about to create, and it will be for the mobile navigation. So this component is gonna be called app header mobile nav. As always, we will create file for this component within components folder and paste here markup for the component. And now we're seeing that all those components that are intended to be used only inside of app header component are placed right next to each other in the file explorer. And now let's check how all those components are shown in the component tree. So now we have the app header component that consists of several other child components, and all of them are shown in this tree. Let's do the same for the footer component. So here we can see three main sections. The section with the logo and the description, then the section with these lists with links, and the last section is copyright text. Following the same approach, I'm going to switch over to the app footer component and extract markup into individual components. So the first one will be called app footer branding, that is going to store the logo as well as short text. We are creating the file for this component within components folder as always. Next component will store markup of lists with links in the footer. I will call this component app footer links. And finally, the last component is going to store copyright text. I'm gonna call this one app footer copyright. These steps are all repetitive, but it is important to do them in order to keep the codebase maintainable. So one more time, let's take a look at the component tree that we got after creating all those additional components for the footer. So here we're seeing that the app footer markup was split on several child components: app footer branding, app footer links, and app footer copyright. Let's keep working on the components of the main page in the next lesson.